But I will, Jody, if it's all right with you, I'm going to go ahead and share my screen. And I'm ready to roll as soon as I can get that. There we are. All right, can everyone see that? Okay. So I'm gonna start real basic here. Is there anyone? Go ahead and speak up if anyone does not have an action ID.
I don't currently have one, but I've had one in the past. I'm sure someday I'll have one again.
Okay. Well, okay. As long as you know what one is, you know, it's really not a hard process. You can create your own action ID on the spot, really. So if you showed up to a lit drop and they wanted you to use minivan, you could create an action ID right there on the spot. So I'm going to go ahead and log in with my action ID. Got my email address and got my password. I got a really cute email address. Everybody's got to have one of those. And it's going to text me my 6-digit verification code, which is 767229 for me this time. And it will do this every time. So every time that you log in, it will do the 2-factor verification. I do want to let you know, if you get a new phone number, the van will not let you change your phone number on your action ID. It is incredibly inconvenient, but once you have a phone number that is registered to your van account, if you change your phone number and get rid of your old phone number, you will not be able to get into your van account unless you have to call the state party and talk to the data department, and they have to basically issue you a new account and copy everything over. I know that sounds wild, but that is a fact. That sounds completely ridiculous, but there's literally, it is an NGP, the company that makes the van. It is their issue. There's nothing that we can do at the state party to fix that. So if you have a van account and you have your cell phone number on there, you cannot change your cell phone number. And if you need to talk to Andrew or Tucker at the van first. So I'm going to verify my verification code. And I'm going to go to my county party. And then my PIN, I have a PIN number, so I'm going to enter it in. Welcome, Jared. Welcome to the van. All right. Now, I know that I'm going to go over a few things with you, and I'll try to stop and take questions along the way at certain points. But the first thing I want to do is just do a quick lookup. All right. A quick lookup is what I'm going to do. And so that's when I want to just find a single person, right? Now, Jody, don't correct me here. I already know what's going to happen.
I got a top secret name though.
That's right. I already know what's going to happen. Look at that, folks. I cannot find Jody Harlan. So here's what I'm going to do. I'm going to just find Harlan and see what happens there. Well, I have a ton of Harlans.
Look at all of them.
So I happen to know, because I'm an insider, that Jody lives in Canadian County. So
now it'll probably drop down.
Yeah. So now Here I am. And there we go. I've got two chances. Her name is either Samuel John or it's Carlotta L. So I am going to go with Carlotta L, even though Jody looks 37 years old. I'm going to go
Yeah.
with Carlotta L. So here we go. Oh, I happen to recognize that phone number and that email address. And I've been to that physical address and jammed out on their porch with Tim before. So I think this is the right person. Now, I want to go over a few things here of what you're seeing on the screen. So obviously this section right here is just your basic contact. If I go to overview, I'm getting really the same thing, but all details is really what you need. The voter file van ID number. So every voter is assigned a van ID number, and this is Jody's. It's not like your social security number. No one can steal your identity with this. This number only has to deal with the van. It doesn't have to do with the election board or anything like that. Jody is just the 1,551,838 person to be filed into the van. So if there are moments where this number comes in handy. Let's say you're looking at a voter, you're knocking their door, you're wondering, or there's something wrong with their file, and so you feel like you need to contact the data team at the state party and talk to them about it. Well, you would want to take this number, and that way they can look Jody up very quickly. Because as we just found out, her name is not actually Jody Harlan. So if I call Andrew or Tucker at the state party and say, Jody Harlan's van file is all messed up, they're not going to find her. So if you'll take that van ID number, that's what that's useful for. So in case you've ever wondered what that number's for, that's what it's for. All right, let's go through here. I'm going to go, and what I have on my account should be what y'all have on your accounts as well. So go through, there is self-reported demographics. We don't have any, but if I was to call Phone Bank and call Jody, and if Jody was to self-report something, one of these areas, I could change those areas. So if Jody self-reports that she speaks Croatian, I could report that on here and I could save it. So let's go on down. Actually, while we're still up here at the top, I'm going to go over here to the right-hand side. So voter file van ID. There's our van ID number. I'm going to be honest, I don't know what this AFF number is, and I don't think you'll ever need it. In my 12 or 13, 14 years of using the van, I've never used that. Vital stats and contact preferences. Here's where we find out how she's registered. Luckily for her, she'd be in a lot of trouble right now if she wasn't a registered Democrat. Unidentified gender, date of birth. Sorry to out your age there, Jody. Date registered, 9/6/84. What that means is that does not mean that Jody registered to vote at age 29. What that means is she's probably lived in the same home since September 6th, since September of 1984. Is that correct, Jody? So what Jody did was that's the last time she changed her registration. So when you see that date registered or date effective registered, that doesn't necessarily mean that's when they originally registered. That's just the last time that they changed something on their registration. So that could be updated fairly often if someone moves around. Now we look at her districts This is very handy if you're talking to a voter. Well, I don't even know what district I live in. Well, she is in Canadian County. We know that. She's in the Oklahoma City media market, which means that if she turns on the news is based out of Oklahoma City. She is in County Commissioner District 3, Congressional District 3, State Senate District 22, State House 43, City of Yukon, Ward 3. It does not say our school board here. That's probably something, Jody, that the Canadian County Party could take on as a project. One thing that I'll mention, since this has come up, is that the van does not automatically get municipal and school board election results. So the van automatically gets partisan race updates, but it does not automatically update municipal and school board. So what you do is you would contact your election board, either your county election board or your state election board, and get those results and get those into a spreadsheet, and then ask the data team at the state party to upload those. I believe you can upload those yourself, but I think it's a good idea it's always a good idea to kind of build a relationship with the data team. It's kind of like being a regular customer at a restaurant. If they know you, I'm not saying if they know you, they'll be more likely to help you. That's not what I'm saying. But if they know you, then it's an easier, always feels like an easier conversation when you know the person you're talking to. Yukon Public Schools, although it doesn't say which school board district she's in or which school board zone she's in. And Canadian Valley Technology Center, although it doesn't say which tech center zone she's in. So that just and then also at primary address, this tells us who else lives there. Apparently, I don't know where Tim lives, but according to this, he has a different address. Tim's definitely in trouble. He's he got the bad end. What's that?
I said,
Okay, so addresses. This is her voting address. Also, Tim might be down under a P.O. box address, is possible. Jody, when you moved into that house on Poplar, did you move from a different city or within Yukon?
I moved from a different state.
Okay. Tim, the same?
Yes.
Okay. So what you will see in smaller communities, let's say Calumet is a great example. Someone can move from 2nd Street in Calumet over to Rock Island Street in Calumet, and it doesn't change their polling location because there's only one precinct in Calumet. So they won't change their they won't change their voter ID or their voter registration with the election board because it doesn't change where they vote, and they don't think about that. Typically someone only thinks about it if you go to your new place and they're like, well, you're not registered here. And then you call the election board, you find out you're registered in your old place. But if you don't switch precincts, especially in smaller communities, and even in larger communities, there are people in Norman, I'm sure, who have moved across town and still go to the same place to vote because they're used to voting there, even though they should be voting in a different location. And I'm sure that you'll see that in Yukon and Mustang and El Reno. Because a lot of times those voting locations aren't that far apart. Salutation, let's see here. I don't have anything here. I wonder if I could change that. It's not going to let me. I was going to put in Jody as a salutation, but polling location, because you can get this question. First United Methodist Church, 400 Elm Street, Yukon, precinct 208. And I don't mean to act like and I'm definitely not meaning to talk down to anybody. Sometimes I will explain things because I don't really know. I might over explain because I don't know what you know. So I'm going to try to explain everything possible. But a lot of times we will refer to a precinct by only the last three numbers. So in Canadian County, if you call the election board and you would say, hey, I live in precinct 208, or they might say you live in precinct 208. They won't say you live in precinct 090208. If the last three numbers of your precinct are 008, they would just say you live in precinct 8. So that's just a little bit of shorthand in the lingo, the vernacular, if you will. Phone numbers. Let's check Jody's phones here. 326-3600, Jody, for your cell. 354-3189. Is that your home number?
Mhm.
Okay.
Yeah.
So it looks like we've got that all correct.
Mhm.
That was provided by a vendor. I believe the party did a purchase, a cell phone contact purchase. And so anyway, we're looking good there. Email address. That's a personal CAN email. So she has not told us that we can't email her. And that I know that that's her correct email, so we don't need to edit that. That was edited in 2004, y'all. If you can see that. So you might as well have an AOL email address, Jody.
Yeah.
Activist codes. Now, this is something where we need to do a lot of work. Activist codes. So right now, of course, this is my Cleveland County account. So I only have 2 activist codes available to me in my Cleveland County account. But right now, Jody has no activist codes associated with her account or with her van, with her van ID. So you can see here, party officials, 2019 through 2021, or a volunteer. I'm going to say that Jody is a party official. And I'm going to see if I can save new. There we go. So Jody, we know Jody is a party official, so I'm going to mark that down. All right. And now if I was to do a search and to search by activist codes, Jody's name would pop up within that activist code. Now, have y'all heard about the recall election in Norman?
Yes. Mhm.
I have a quick question, Jody. Are you planning on putting this thing on Facebook or anything, this video?
Well, I was thinking about it.
Okay, well, then I'll just go ahead and stop.
We need to have another Zoom.
Yeah, and I'm more than happy to. Well, here's the thing. You can create your own activist codes for your county party. So if you've got your own volunteer list, you can upload that. I could actually go ahead and add you as a volunteer as well if I wanted to, Jody. And then if you do a search for activist codes, you can add that. Actually, tell you what, I want to dig into this. So if you would mind, I'd prefer we don't post this on social media.
Okay.
I'm more than
What I
happy
could
with you.
do, I could post it in the Canadian County Democrats closed Facebook page.
That's perfect. That's perfect.
And I was going to ask, when you're going through this, my favorite field is the one where we check what party they belong to. So
yes.
Before I admit anyone, who wants in our closed page, I go look at their page, I look at who their friends are, and I look them up in Van. And
That's
you'd
right.
be surprised that quite a number are not affiliated with anyone from Oklahoma. They're not from our state. And
So,
the rest are
yeah.
Republican that I don't admit.
Sure. So here's what we're doing in Cleveland County. The Norman recall petition, we're going to get a copy of all those signatures, and we're going to upload those match the people with the van, and we're going to upload their names into the van and match them. And we're going to assign an activist code to them that says Norman Recall Supporter. So that way, whenever that person decides that they're going to run for city council or school board, we'll know what side of that issue they were on.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
That's not, I mean, I don't think that's shocking. It just
No,
seems,
it's not shocking, but since we're in the middle of that campaign, I'd rather not give away our secrets.
sure, not a problem. We'll protect
So,
that.
but
I won't
but
post
that-
it publicly. I don't
thank-
think I would anyway.
Sure. But anyway, that's the kind of thing you can utilize this for. You know, if you're doing door knocking and you're getting, you know, if you get a hell no from somebody, you can you create an activist code that says, you know, hardcore Republican. You can do something there that helps you eliminate, you know, wasting your time, and that's really the key. So if I'm a Democrat running for office in Norman and I see that someone supported the Norman recall of our mayor and city council, I'm not even going to bother knocking their door. You know, or there's a pretty good chance. I mean, depending on the race. But anyway, that, you know, if it's, but it's definitely it's basically more data that we give our county parties and our candidates, right? Because that's the key.
Mhm.
You know, the more data our candidates have, the better. You know, I'm hoping that eventually we get the 802 data,
Mhm.
because if we had the 802 data, if we know somebody supported 802, then we know how to have a conversation with them. We know that they are open to our message. And that's just invaluable. So survey responses, you know, that's if there are one. In 2004, Jody said she was in favor of education and that she was definitely a Democrat. So there we go, Jody. Jody,
Well,
I'm telling
sure
all.
glad it didn't say something different.
I know. Now, if you'll notice, 2004 is the last time we have a survey response. That's also that's one of the last years that there was major national money put into Oklahoma until this year. Contact history. We canvassed with a phone in 2004. Again, long time ago. Early voting. Now, this is her early voting information. Okay, so this is the location where she can early vote. These are the dates of her early voting. Now, if you'll notice, it doesn't have the runoff on there. Of course, I don't think you have a run. We don't have a runoff on Democrat side. So
in Canadian County.
I don't think
What
we
about
do
Cleveland?
statewide.
Do you have any?
No, we don't. No Democrats had runoffs this year. I just remember. So in our voting data in the presidential primary, well, no, sorry, in the June primary, she requested an early ballot and on June 15th, and she returned it on June 27th. So wonderful job, Jody. We're proud of you. Voting history. This is the truth teller.
Oh, I'm not worried.
Oh yeah, look at that, y'all.
Hmm.
That is a thing of beauty right there. Goodness gracious, Jody. That is wonderful. So here we can tell when and how often people vote and what elections they have voted in. So here, now you can see that only every now and then have we uploaded school board data into the van. In fact, those years are, let's see here, it looks like 2006, 2010, and 2013. So that stuff does not get entered very often. If you look at municipal, you know, it has not been entered in a long time because the state election board stopped automatically putting that with the regular stuff. So anyway, Jody has got a great voting history, unlike our governor. So robocalls, none. Any notes? Nope. I could put a note in here that says, enthusiastic Democrat. I could put something of that nature. I could put will volunteer.
Supports education issues or.
Absolutely. Supports education issues, or firefighter if she was a firefighter. And so on minivan,
Friendly Republican or
yeah.
Depth of support. Could we put that there? Is it
Yeah.
searchable? Like if I went, where are those friendly Republicans? I need both of them right now.
Yeah. So there's a couple of terms you could use. You could use like persuadable Republican. Another term that we use in the biz, if you will, is squishy Republican. So that means that we have a chance with them. That's the idea. So if you have a Republican who voted for 802, I would call that person a squishy Republican or a persuadable Republican. Or a Republican who is fed up with the state, a Republican teacher who's fed up with the state cutting the education budget. I'd call that a persuadable or a squishy Republican. Okay, scores. Jump into this. Now we do have a new set of 2020 support scores. So basically, DNC Democrat Party support. Jody is a 97.91 odds of supporting the Democratic Party.
Yeah.
A 98% odds of supporting a state Senate Democrat. 98% state House support. 97 DLCC turnout, which means she's 97% likely to vote in an election. And her she's 98% partisan Democrat. So that means only 2% of Republicans less than 2% could possibly get Jody. No, not at all. It's not a chance. 2018 DNC's Dem support. So this was her score from 2018. So in 2018, she was a 98%. And look at this, Jody. You've gone down.
I'm sorry. I don't know why.
Well, look. Here's the thing about these scores. They're arbitrary. It's a formula that they put out there. It may even be it's just a formula that they put out there. Basically Jody is a great Democrat who is extremely likely to vote and extremely likely to vote Democrat. Now, when you're doing a search or creating a list, you can use these support scores. So let's say, and we'll do this in a little bit, let's say you want to find Republicans who have a score, or independents, let's do independents, who have a score between 40 or a score above 40 for Democrat support, right? So that way you could make a list of independents to call who we think might be persuadable, right? With independents, I would say, probably 40 would be the lowest I think I would go. But anyway, you can just kind of create a list based on what their probable support is. Now, just so everyone remembers, the van is an imperfect tool. All right? It is the best tool that we have, but it is not perfect. I will give you a great example. Barry Switzer, everybody know who that is?
Yes.
The football coach. Barry Switzer has a very high score because Barry Switzer is a registered Democrat who votes Democrat or who votes all the time, right? So he votes in every Democratic primary. Barry Switzer also supported Mary Fallon, supported Donald Trump.
Oh,
So, therein lies, we call it the Barry Switzer effect or the Barry Switzer paradox, and Barry has supported a lot of Democrats, but it is an imperfect tool. So please do not be surprised, do not be upset if someone has a high score and it didn't work out whenever you knocked their door or gave them a phone call. Targets, that's not really something we need to get into today. Relationships. Let's see here. I could add a new relationship, right? So I could add that Kalada L. Harlan knows and has a relationship. She, let's say I was to enter in, Jody knows Jared Deck. And her relationship to Jared Deck is that's not boyfriend, beneficiary. I think, okay.
yeah.
I'm not going to argue that. Not going to argue.
Advisor.
Advisor, employee, friend, granddaughter. Anyway, you all get the picture here. And this is really for the use of, if Jody was a cousin to Drew Edmondson, that might be good information to have. Or if she taught James Langford in
I did.
in elementary school years ago, that might be something good to record in the vein. So I think that kind of takes us through, the quick lookup and looking at each individual voter. And now I'm going to move on to creating a list. So I'm going to hit create a list. Now, you remember all those things that we saw? They are all on here. So, activist code. I could pull in some activist codes. If I needed to look up party officials or volunteers. But I'm going to create a list. Let's create a door knocking list for Calumet. How does that sound?
Sure.
So I'm going to say, well, you know what? I don't know if it's going to let me. No, I'm going to have to switch accounts here. Pardon me.
And Jared, when you do this, can you show us how to make a list that has phone and address? It might be easy, but I'm just making sure.
Yeah, I can.
Because you suggested that, and we just might do that.
Yeah, absolutely.
Drop and call, or whatever you call that.
Drop and chase, or
drop and chase.
So I'm going to hit create a list. And I'm going to start with home districts. I'm going to go down here to Canadian County. And I'm going to do city, town of Calumet. And also, a good button that people often forget about is this preview my results. So instead of running the search, you can hit preview and it will show you how many people live in the town of Calumet, right? Mm-hmm. Okay. So let's say we're doing this for get out the vote efforts. All right. So for get out the vote efforts, I want to find, let's see here. I want to find Democrats. So I'm going to go down here to party. So out of that 198, let's see how many Democrats we have. We have 68 out of that 198. Let's go ahead and add independents. Now we're up to 98. So I'm going to keep that list going. I'm going to keep this search going. And I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to add the, I'm going to do a voting history. So I want to make sure that I'm not getting anybody who hasn't voted recently. So I'm going to say anyone who did at least 2 of the following. So I'm going to do kind of all the elections in the last 4 years. So 2018 general, 2016 general. Now notice I can do that they voted in the general. I can also search that they didn't vote. Or I can do a search by people who did absent by mail or early vote. So that's, something to keep in mind. Here's the 2020 primary, 2018 primary, 2016 primary. And then don't forget down here, keep going, is the presidential primary. Remember, it's not the same as the regular primary. I know I'm preaching to the choir there, but it's easy to do. So let's see where my 98 people whittle down to. 71. Okay. Now remember, I don't want to hit necessary. So what I want to do is I'm going to go ahead and run this search. So hit run search. 71 people, 53 phones, 52 doors, 54 mailboxes. And if you go down here, you see the list, okay? But this is just really a sampling of the list. This is not what you print out, okay? So from there, I'm going to edit this search because I don't really want to hit every independent in town. So I'm going to remove some people. Now I can also narrow people. So if I wanted to narrow people to a particular municipal ward, I could do that. If I wanted to narrow people who only lived inside city limits, or people who only had walkable houses, that's a whole nother one too. But I'm going to remove some people because I want to take out any independents who have a low score, a low support score. So I'm going to remove, let's go down to party. Remove independents. And I'm going to go down to scores. So 2020 DNC Democratic Party support. I'm going to remove anyone who has 0 to 40, a score of 0 to 40. And I'm going to do that because it's likely that if I call them, it's not going to go very well. So that took out 6 people. That just saved me like at least half an hour of my life talking to someone who probably didn't want to hear my message.
Now, Jared, let me ask a quick question. This is new to me and very interesting. Yeah. So how did you define that you were just going to look at independents on this? Or are you looking at everybody? Oh, I see.
So here's what I did was I ran my search where I got my 71 people. And actually, if you look over here on the right-hand side, look over here on the right-hand side of the screen. Mm-hmm. So if you see, this is my search. This was everything that I did in my search, okay? And then after I ran my search, I added a step. I clicked on remove people, and this is everything that I've done so far in my second step. So I'm going to run this search. And now I'm going to do one more thing. If this is a GOTV list, I'm going to edit my search one more time. and I'm going to remove some people. I'm going to remove Democrats with a really low support score.
Mm-hmm.
Because I don't need to tell anyone on this call, in towns like Calumet, registered Democrats don't always vote our direction.
Mm-hmm.
Now, this is just for like a GOTV list, so don't think I'm leaving anyone out, on persuasion. This is just for that. So I'm going to take out Democrat party with party support 0 to 20 and see what that does. Preview, I didn't take out anybody, so let's go to 30. Still didn't take out anybody.
Good.
That's good.
Yeah.
Okay, look at that. 0 to 50. Took out one person. There we go. I'm fine with that. So I'm going to run that search. So now I've gone through 3 different steps. I found my Democrats and independents, first and foremost. Then I eliminated independents who had a low support score. And then I eliminated Democrats who had a low support score. So now I feel confident that if I go put a lit drop on these people's door to remind them to vote, that I'm probably going to get a Democratic vote. Or I can now call this list and say, hey, please, are you considering voting for Juan Garcia for State House? So here's my list. I've got it all there. I'm going to hit save list as. So, and now there's 2 ways I can save it. I can save the list, which is a static list of contacts. So that means that the names on the list never change. Or I can save it as a search, where the saved search consists of a dynamic list of contacts. So if I have a saved search. If I was to go back and click on that search here in 2 months, then it would automatically update with maybe a new person who moved to town, right? Or someone who didn't. So I am typically going to save things as searches, not as a list, because I want to be able to update it later.
So Jared, if there was an election, for example, it could, primary election, it when you save it as search, any recorded results from that election could update that list too, I guess.
That's correct.
And
that is correct.
If a bunch of Republicans jumped on board.
Yeah.
And they were in the
I'm going to save this in a new folder. I'm going to say Canadian, Calumet, Democrat, Independent, and I'm going to say 40 score 40 plus, something like that, right? Oh wait, that's my folder. So I'm going to put Canadian County for my score, or for my folder. And then the name of the file, I'm going to put Canadian Calumet. You might, instead of Calumet, you might use, it's smart to use precinct numbers. And you know how I did the search by Calumet, but it probably would have been a better idea to do the search with the precinct number. That way you can keep track of it a little bit better. So I'm going to do that, and then I'm going to save it right there.
And
so I'm just going to go. I'm going to go ahead and hit save.
Find it, Jared, over there on the left, where we see home and main menu.
Yeah.
I'm assuming that that's going in. It seems obvious, but I've had to late at night. I've looked for this stuff before, so it's going to show up when it's saved in my folders.
In my folders is where you're going to find that file now. So here's my folders. I have a Canadian folder, Canadian Calumet DI score plus 40. Are you sure you want to load this search and overwrite your current version of my list? Yes, I'm okay with that, because it can only load one search at a time. So if you load a search after, you're going to, if you load a search after, you're going to lose your old search. Okay. So here's my list. Now let's say we're going to do a lit drop. So I am going to cut turf. Now I'm going to give you a nice,
I love this.
um,
Love cutting curve.
so here's everything that we've got, all of our homes. Now, believe it or not, depending on the number of turfs, or the number of homes you want per turf. So if you're knocking doors, you typically want to give a volunteer anywhere from 30 to 50 doors to knock. If you're dropping literature, depending on, how quickly your volunteer wears out, I would say your lit drop would be 50 plus. Okay. Because a lit drop, you're not having to talk to anybody.
That's how Shirley Burton and I were raised, on lit drops. And you
Yeah.
lose weight, and you can start early, or go late, really, if you can see the numbers, because you're not meeting people usually.
Yeah.
And you can get a lot done.
Of course.
And
So
if you have a good driver, like a taxi that can
Yep.
take several people and pick them up and coordinate them, really, you can go a lot faster than when you're knocking and waiting.
Oh yeah, driver helps a lot. Okay, now I want to give you an idea here. Now Calumet is small, and it's pretty simply put together town. But let's say, since no bigger than it is, if I was cutting this turf for a candidate, especially in these smaller communities, larger turfs are better. You can always have more than one person working the same turf. But larger turfs are better, because if you cut small turfs, so these people, so look at this area right here around that, where I'm putting on right there. That address is on North Taft. They both are, sorry. But let's see what this is. So this one is on West 2nd. It looks like it's on Taft. Okay. Here's another one. This house is on McKinley. This house is, I guess it is. They're both. Anyway, so sometimes if you've got two homes right next to each other, they may be on different streets, even though they look like they're the same. And so you've got to be careful, because you end up sending your volunteer or your candidate down, they're like having to go, an extra 50 yards to hit one house on this side street. So it's better to cut larger turfs and not try to get too far down. So if I was cutting Calumet, this is what I would do. I would cut it. Oops. And I would probably, this one down here, don't forget that one.
Mm-hmm.
So I would just cut it like that. And I would do all of these as one turf. This is the highway right here, 270. It's the dividing part of town. So typically speaking, I prefer to cut turf in communities where I've actually been in them before. It doesn't always happen that way, but you need to look for natural dividing points, right? Like a highway right there, Highway 270, a train track. So if you look up here, here's a train track running along. Maybe a river, here's a river right here. You want to look for those kind of natural dividing spots, because, example, I mean, I know this seems pretty obvious, but in Yukon, you have the area north of I-40 and the area south of I-40, right? You don't want to have someone crossing the interstate back and forth. That seems pretty obvious. Yep. But in these smaller communities as well, A railroad track may take an extra, if you have someone walking across that, I mean, they may have to walk an extra 100 yards. And so we're trying to eliminate as much of that excessive walking as possible. But at the same time, we want large turfs. So there we go. Turf 1, turf 2. So we are going to go now. So we're done. I'm going to hit save and finish.
Jared, does that save back to your original file, or did it? I need to move my
Yeah,
window.
I'll show you. I'll show you. So it pulls this up, but I don't ever use this. I always go back to my folders. Canadian. And there's my map region. Here's my turf 1 and my turf 2. I won't use the map region. So now I need to print these out, correct?
Yes.
So I'm going to do turf 1, and I'm going to do this like a walking list, okay? So I'm going to come over here, I'm going to hit print. And here we go. Report format.
Report format.
I'm going to do a walking list.
Okay. And is this where you show us how to add phones, or so we've got
Yes.
both? Okay.
So we're doing a walking list on the first turf.
Okay.
So now these are different scripts. We'll just say walk canvas. You can create a script if you would like to. The script is optional. In fact, I'm just going to take it off for now. Contacted how. We can do, let's see here. We're just going to hit walk, because this would be like a normal door knocking or walking list. Lit drop, it works for a lit drop also. So Canadian, Calumet, and then on the end of this, make sure you put turf 1. Okay?
Mm-hmm.
You want to make sure you label which turf number it is in your title. And then minivan campaign, we don't need to do that. That's optional. A script would be like if you wanted to give your volunteers a list of questions to ask at the doors. But that's one step further than what we're going to go over tonight. Now, this next part is a little confusing and a little annoying. So
if they do it wrong, it is as a walker.
The sort order. So this sort order, this is the default sort order, and you cannot change the default. I have begged for over a decade to change the default. This is how it comes, no matter how many times you pull up. So here's what you do. The county, you leave it alone. The precinct, you leave it alone. Street name, leave it alone. Now, here's where we change it. Odd, even. So that's saying that what this sort order does is it breaks the pages up. So like what we want is we want Poplar Street on its own page, right?
Yeah.
But we don't want Poplar Street next to Pecan Street if they're not even close to each other. Okay? Yeah. And we don't want them both on the same page.
No.
We want to separate that. We want to separate those pages. So what odd even does is it basically gives you one page with the odd numbered addresses and another page with the even numbered addresses. Well, if you have 2 volunteers working, then you can do that. But most of the time, it's 1. And so what I do is I take the odd even, and now you may find a different method, and that's great. I take the odd even and look underneath. You see the street number underneath? I'm going to take odd and even and I'm going to change it to street number. And then I'm going to take street number and I'm going to change it to apartment. No, because that's apartment number is what that is. And then the bottom one, I'm going to eliminate. I'm going to pick the blank space. Okay, so I've done that. So I had 6 sort orders before. Now I only have 5. Now what I'm going to do is I'm going to unclick on number 4, on street number. I'm going to unclick show group header. I'm going to unclick page breaks. And I'm going to unpick page breaks on street name as well. So I'll do that one more time. I'll re-click them. I'm going to unclick show group header, unclick page breaks on street number, and then unclick page breaks on street name. So I unclicked 3 things. And what that does is that gives you a little bit more efficient use of your paper if you're printing out your lists. Let me know if you're good to go.
Hang on just a second.
Okay.
And, okay. And did you unclick something with DESC or not? You just unclicked header and break
No,
in 5
no.
locations?
That's 3 locations.
Well, 3 lines, but 5 boxes.
Nope.
No?
So sort order 5 those were never clicked.
Ah, okay.
So they were clicked on sort order 4 and then the 1 page break on sort order 3. So I'm only unclicking 3 things.
Got it. I'm caught up.
Yeah. Okay. And then I'm going to go down here. Now, it's very important for your volunteer that you click the box that says print map. Okay? And then your screen will refresh itself. So now I got print map up there, right? And now I'm going to hit next. And it says your PDF file is being created. So I'm going to go click on my PDF files. There we go. So I'm going to download the file. I always right click it because if you regular click it, it will open the file in the same window as what you're in. And then you have to hit the back button, and I don't like that. So I hit open link in a new tab. So here is my PDF file. There's my map, which we definitely wanted, so that way our volunteer can figure out where they're going. And look here. So what I did was we did the, so now we're making efficient use of our paper. And look here, it's really funny. There's an East 2nd Street and there's an East 2 Street. They are the same thing, but it's just kind of funny how the van has some weird things going on. So now you can see I don't have like 1 or 2 people per page. I've got a lot of people per page. So that way I'm
alphabetical. The pages are the streets alphabetical then?
Yes, they are.
Numbers first, but then alphabetical.
That's right. Well, it goes by street and then by number.
What I meant was like 1st and 2nd Street, that those will be before Lewis and Main, I think.
Yeah, I believe so. Yeah.
Okay. I like that.
Yeah, that's correct. So also look up here in the top right, our list number. So when you go to minivan, which we will in a little bit, So I'm going to leave this window open so I have my list number later. Okay. So I'm going to go back to Vote Builder, and I'm going to go back and I'm going to pull up Turf 2 now. So I'm going to go to my folders, Canadian, and here's Turf 2. Do you want to overwrite your list? Yes. Now, here's my list. Now I'm going to print, but I'm going to do a calling list. I'm not going to use a script. Contacted how? We're going to do phone. And now I'm putting in the name. And remember, I'm going to put Turf 2. It's important to label that. Because if you look over here on my printed copy, notice it says Turf 1. Okay? So I got Turf 2 in there. Now on a phone number list, you see the sort order is much shorter. Okay? And I don't need to uncheck anything. Phone list is easy to do. Now, I'm going to go ahead and still put print map because I like for my volunteers to know where they're calling. I think it's always helpful for people to see the geography. So I'm going to hit next. PDF is being created. And here it is, Turf 2. I'm going to download my file. I'm going to right click on it. And here it is. So there's my map of the other side of Calumet. Now, look at these first numbers. Or here we go. So these first couple of lines don't have phone numbers. All right? After that, they do. Now, this is not a virtual phone bank, just so everyone's aware. This is just a paper list to call. Okay? A virtual phone bank is a whole nother deal. This is just really the basic version. What we're trying to go over today is how to use the van if you've never used the van, how to create it, how to search, do a quick lookup of people, individuals, and then how to do a search. And you can play around with that creative search. I'm going to stop my screen share for now. And if you have Minivan, I'm going to ask everyone to pull it up. And log into your Minivan on your phone. Let me know when everyone's there, or if you're doing it. You don't have to do it.
I'm slow, but I'm doing it. Hey, and Jared, could you send us the files that you made? Is there a way to share those?
Yeah, I sure is.
If it's not too much trouble, we can use it as a sample to create others, and we might just go up to Calumet.
Yeah, absolutely.
They'd probably fall over because it's been a long time.
Also, when you're logging into Minivan, there's the remember this device button. I kind of recommend not using that. I have had more issues whenever I use the remember this device button than when I don't. Okay, so now I'm going to reshare my screen. So are you logged in, Jody?
Almost.
Okay.
Okay.
So what we want to do is we want to hit enter a new list in your minivan. And if you look here on the screen up in the right-hand corner, in the top right-hand corner of the printed list that we made, that printed PDF, you'll find the list number. Now, here's what's interesting. If you go back to the van, you don't actually see the list number. You only see the list number whenever you print it out. There might be another way, a better way to find that, but this is the best way that I know how, is to just go ahead and print out the list and it creates a list number. So our list number is 33523757 in the first box. The second box is 34355. And I'm going to hit download list on my minivan, on my phone. Oh, it says there's no list because there's no script associated with it. That's right, because I didn't do a script, did I? Anyway, so I guess you do have, so in order to use minivan, you have to do a script.
Shoot.
So that's something we need to remember. But, and I'll go through the script real quick.
You probably could make it pretty simple because many times we're using the walklet to guide the script.
That's right.
You know, at least that's what I do. I figure that's what they want me to say.
Sure. So here we go. I'm going to print this one. I'm going to make this a walking list. I'm going to use a script. Here we go. Here's the 2018 commit to vote canvassing script. All right. Turf 1. There we go. Now remember, I'm going to change my odd even to street number, my street number to apartment, and my lower apartment to blank. Then I'm going to uncheck 3 boxes. 1, 2, 3. And then I'm going to go down here. I'm going to hit print map. And then I'm going to hit next. So now I'm actually going to delete those old PDFs because couldn't use those anyway. So now I'm going to download this file. And so there is my script. What issue is most important to you? Will you commit to vote on November 6, 2018? Thank you. Have a great day. And now here's our list number. I'm going to go ahead and enter that one now. And so it's a little different. 33523805 29098. I'm going to download the list. And look here. If you can see, there are my addresses.
Woohoo!
So now I can I'll click on 217 East Main, Stephanie Lunsford. She's a 38 female independent, registered independent. And then here's your script. It walks you through it. I could not reach this voter. Or you ask the questions. Hi, my name is Jared. I'm a volunteer. What issues are important to you? And then you let them answer. You don't necessarily need to read them off. And then you just check off what you see. Will you commit to vote? Yes. That's it. Great. Thank you. And so that's the end. So that's one right there. That's a really good one. And then if I was to reshare my screen, so now I'm going to go back here, back to my list. I'm going to create another. I'm going to print another one of the same list, but I'm going to do a call list. And now I'm going to use the 2018 commit to vote phone script. Turf 1. Minivan campaign, I'll do that since there is one. Now, since it's a phone, the sort order is really short and I don't need to do anything. I am going to print the map and hit next. So now I'm going to go to PDF files and I'm going to download this one. I probably should have named it something different. I should have named it walk and call and phone.
Mhm.
It's probably, I should have added that.
But you'd know which one you did first because there's a time
Right.
on it when you create
And if
it.
you look here, like on my script name, it says phone script.
Ah,
Right. So even though it's the exact same script, so here's my map, same houses, as you can see. And then here it is with the phones. All right. Now you can see here is the checklist for the script. So if you printed this out, you would circle these issues, or you would check mark not home or refused, or they moved, or no such address, that kind of thing. So, but anyway, that is really your basic how to use the van, how to create a list, how to look someone up. The thing to do is whenever to create your list and just go through here and just kind of play around a little bit without actually doing much, let's go to home districts. So we are in Canadian County. And let's say we want to look up a particular state house seat. Jody, what house seat do you live in?
43, unfortunately. Have you heard?
There's 21,544 people in the van. Now, as a reminder, there are more voters in that district than that. However, the van is usually shy a few. Again, the van is an imperfect tool. It is not designed to be perfect. It is designed to help us as much as possible. And then let's look up a particular precinct in that state. So here's all the precincts in that house seat. You're in 208, is that right?
Yes.
So this is all 1,526 voters. So let's see
how many are good Democrats if you were going to go that far.
Okay.
I'm curious.
Yeah,
I've
we can
never
even
done that. Never done their scores.
So let's go Democrat, 385.
There's probably
So
about 4.
Let's look at scores.
Okay.
And let's go
40.
50 to 100.
Okay.
352.
Oh my Lord, it's better than I thought.
Yeah. So let's go 30 to 100. 378. So, you were losing some people under 50, under the 50% mark.
So does that kind of like I have a 50-50 chance to get them? Is that
I would say, I'm sure that somebody smarter at this than I am and more experienced would have a better answer, but I'm going to say colloquially, yes. That effectively gives you a shot.
It's better because if we think about the way our elections sometimes go, it's often some version of 60-40 with us having the 40. So if we can find precincts above 40, you know, a lot of times it's priorities, what you can do in how much time.
So there were 12 people whose score was between 40 and 50. All right. So by lowering the score from 50 to 40, we added 12 people.
Mhm.
So those 12 people are maybe persuadables, you know, they might be tough. They might be tough, but they might be persuadables. And also, you know, whenever you knock the door or you talk to them on the phone, you can, and then you put in, if we look here, well, on this one, so this one's got a 1 through 5 commit to vote. But let's say in your script, you were like, you know, would you support a Democrat for state house? All right. And obviously a 1 is a yes, 2 is a maybe, 3, no idea, 4 is probably not, 5 is definitely not. If someone tells you that there are 5, you can put them in there, and like, and if they tell you, even though they score decently, but if they tell you they never vote for Democrats, then you can go in there and tag them with an activist code that says, you know, don't bother. You know, that's kind of the, here's the thing, people complain about the van a lot. Most people don't use the van at all. And if you don't, or hardly at all, and if you don't use it, if you're not putting data back into it, it doesn't do any good. It doesn't help. So example, if I run 4 campaigns in a row in Jody's district, but we never log any of our data into the van, then the 5th person that comes along is no better off than the 1st. So that's what's important about updating the data. The van is only as good as the data that we put in it on an individual and local level. So here's another thing I'm going to do real quick. I'm going to go down here to voter history. And now we're just in Jody's precinct, and I'm gonna have to wrap up pretty quick if that, but I want to show you all this. Well, if it'll do it. Oh, I got kicked out of Zoom. Maybe it'll pop back up here in a second. Sorry, y'all.
At least we can still hear you.
Yeah. On my voting history, this is something you can do. That's an interesting exercise. You can go in and pull up all people who did vote in the June 2018 primary. All right. So all people who did vote in the June 2018 primary, and then pull up all people who did not vote in the 2018 primary. So all people who did not vote in the 2018 general. So we're talking about people who voted in the primary and didn't vote in the general, and those are your 788 medical marijuana voters. Those are people who turned out to vote for medical pot, who did not turn out for the general. And
Yep.
there are 97,000 Oklahomans who did that.
Wow.
About 20,000 or 25,000 of those people did not have, the only time they ever voted was was in June of 2018.
Hmm.
So, and you know, kind of an exercise that we're doing with the coordinated campaign this year is trying to find out if we can persuade those people to come out and vote again.
Mm-hmm.
So anyway, I don't think my computer is going to let me hop back on the Zoom. So, but it was just a fun little exercise I wanted to show you.
Maybe I need
So.
to do something with security. No, still on share screen. Well, that is a super overview, Jared, and I'm thrilled that we were able to videotape it because I'll
Yeah.
be watching it. I'm thinking about posting it, you know, in a file on YouTube that's not available to the public. But when I'm trying to do a walk list in the middle of the night, I think you covered everything that I need to. Okay, I have this file. How do I get back in there and make a call list now?
Yeah.
And I'm thrilled to know about scores. Thrilled because we have a very Republican county and a limited amount of time. And we know we need Republican votes to help our candidates.
Yeah.
But there's some Republican doors that we don't need to knock. So
That's right.
we don't have a time to knock every door in the county. So there's a lot of ways to use the strategy you taught us, but I'm certain in the 3 months that we have left that we can put it to good use. And I know how busy you are. You have your own candidates and the coordinated campaign. So I appreciate you spending this time. Do you have any problems with me sharing links to the file with Democrats or
No, I just, well, it's just, you know, things like this, you know, they're internal to the party. You know, it is against the DNC policy to share data from the van or about the van with Republicans. You can lose your van access for life.
I'll tell you a story about that. We have a friend that's a Republican that was on our closed Facebook page, and I had to disinvite them because they're active in the Republican Party now. And I still like them just as much as a friend, but I'm not going to be sharing this data. It has my information on it right up front. So no, I would not do that.
Yeah. So, okay. Well,
Great.
Jody, thank you for inviting me.
Everybody, let's give Jared a round. If you're on this call and you do not have van access, and you can click a little box underneath there that says chat, and it will open up a window. I'm gonna type my information there. If you want to email me, send me your go ahead and send me your address and your cell phone number. And if you would just even put your email address in the body, that way I've got each person, and I'll ask. I have a link now the party likes us to use to get van turned on, and several people can see that request, and hopefully it'll work faster. So let me know if you're interested, and we can revisit all this good information and help each other.
Jody, I do have one quick question before Jared leaves us.
Sure.
So generally speaking, so I was a candidate in 2018. Of course, I paid for van access. You know, I got it. I was able to cut turfs and do all the fun things, you know, a campaign does. But after that, it's been very challenging to get van access to be, you know, an active person helping out. So I'm aware, from what I understand at this point, if I have van access, as just a volunteer, if you will, really the only thing I can access is minivan and pull up somebody else's list and work that list. Is that correct?
Yes. So there's two ways you can get van access. Number one is to pay for it, either as a candidate or even as I think as an activist, you can purchase it, and or to get listed as a some of the larger counties will have multiple access points, and so you might be able to get access through your county party. So remember the first account that I was logged into was my Cleveland County Party account.
Yeah.
And then I switched to my coordinated account so I could pull up Canadian County. But yeah,
Okay,
I have
so
access.
so when Jody has in the past attempted to get me access to help work for the county, and the access I've been given, like I said, when I have tried to log in, the only thing I could get in and do is minivan. So I wasn't sure if, like,
I
So
think
we're asking the
Yeah.
wrong questions.
I think I can get precinct access, but I wrote down what Jared said about multiple access points. And
Jody, you might ask the data team about super users. That's not really the right term. That's a term that we used where we basically, like Cleveland County, we have, I mean, because if our 3 officers are the only ones who have access to the van and someone needs a list cut for a particular reason, like the reason has to be cleared by the county officers. But we have a few other people that have county access in order, because I can't be at everyone's beck and call. So we had a few other people go through it or get access so that they can cut lists if needed.
so we could discuss, maybe write a justification and then follow up with a phone call, because Chantel is a systems analyst, and we need her expertise.
Yeah.
And she's also very good with minivan. So maybe if we made that request and explain what her role is going to be as a data expert or something, at least they would consider it.
Yeah, I mean, yeah, and I think that's the thing. That's kind of the key is to say that, hey, I have someone who's very active, who's very smart, with this sort of thing, and if they could have access through the Canadian County Party, that would basically it would help you, alleviate a lot of pressure and help you out.
And I think especially during election year, the concern is candidates pay. So in the past, not from Canadian County that I'm aware of, sometimes people have used van access provided to build the party to circumvent helping the candidates pay for their legitimate access that goes with their campaigns. And I understand that. So
yeah, absolutely, yeah. I you would, but yeah, there's definitely, the party will grant access to nonpartisan candidates, like city council or school board candidates, but they have to be a registered Democrat. So and no, I mean, I would say, just because. And no outlandish Facebook posts that talk trash on all Democrats. So
that makes sense. Now, Bernard, are you in Oklahoma? I don't. If you haven't used Van before, you might have to click your red microphone in the bottom left corner. You put your information in.
Okay, I got it. Yes, ma'am. Yeah, I'm in Oklahoma City. My name is Bernard Allen Bay. Yeah, I chair the Economic Development Committee for the NAACP, and Senator Johnson, ma'am.
For you, you kind of cut out. You chair the Economic Development Committee for who?
The state NAACP.
Oh, I see.
Oklahoma State Conference. And Connie Johnson actually invited me to be on today's call, and so that's why I'm on here.
Great, and I'm going to assume you're a Democrat.
You know what? I'm a registered independent. I'm sorry. The last time I registered about, I guess it's been 2 years ago, and I actually registered as an independent. So I don't know if I'm supposed to be on the call or not. So I'm sorry.
You're certainly welcome on the call. It might affect your access to Van. I'm just being honest with you.
Yeah, no, that's okay. No, that's fine. I understand.
Do you have to be a Democrat?
yeah, that's I believe so. So I mean, You know, if you're working with someone who has access, you know, if you're working for a candidate like Senator Johnson, you know, then that's, you know, then she's you know, then her campaign is, you know, that's her job to manage that. You know, it's not necessarily the party's job.
Okay, yeah, and that, you know, if I was going to work, it would just be to help her anyway. That's pretty much
Yeah.
the
Then
reason I'm
ask
on the call.
ask her to make that request. I'll just be honest. I'm making the offer to, I'm from Canadian County. I'm making the offer to negotiate van access for Democrats from my county. I'm just not comfortable asking, because I don't know you, for access for someone from outside my county that's not a Democrat. But I'm
Right.
glad you're on the call. I just want to be honest with you, you know, and your expectations, because
Well, you know,
my
just to be
scope
honest,
is limited.
the NAACP is,
County.
has some access to the van also. I'm not exactly sure how it works, but I have been on a training before with the Civic Engagement Committee chair.
Good.
Good.
Again, so yeah, but
That's
the
the
problem
best
is,
avenue, possibly.
yeah, it's a complicated database management system that I'm not familiar with, and so I needed to look at it again, which is
Yes.
great. So
It was sure a
Well,
great.
welcome to the call.
okay.
Yeah,
Go ahead.
Jared, you made that so incredibly easy. I know if it's a first impression, it can be a little overwhelming, but you sure tied it together for me. And I know you mentioned earlier that you had, you know, something else you needed to do. So I'm gonna stop record and keep that sharing limited to the people that are on our closed Canadian County page that might have missed this call.